All right, guys, we are live. Welcome to the Bags to Riches podcast. I'm Zach Ginn, your host. I quitted my minimum wage bag boy job to pursue the riches of real estate investing at the age of 17 and never looked back. I'm here to educate and inform entrepreneurs, young and old, how to become complete real estate investors by talking to the best and most influential minds of real estate. I'm joined by the first Zach of the show, Zachary Kepes. Zachary Kepes is a real estate killer in Phoenix, Arizona. He has over 200 rentals in his portfolio, and he is on a mission to help you become a great house flipper and to become the next Zach Kepes. Thanks for coming on today.
Happy to be here. It's good to meet another Zach. It's always weird when you call somebody else by your first name as well. It's like, whoa, hang on. We got another Zach with a killer over here, so I like that. Good to be here. I'm glad you reached out to me. I appreciate it.
All right. So I wanted to first just explain this. When I talked to Rick about 2 to 3 years ago, we were actually he was looking to buy a new house. We were making some good money. We're going to upgrade the house he was in. And we're looking at houses, some by the water, some not by the water. And he basically told me, he's like, what do you think is a good definition of success? Before I started in real estate, and we're going by this house, and it was like 4 stories at this elevator, and I was like, if you could have an elevator in your house, I think you're pretty successful. And hearing some podcasts from you, you got an elevator in your house, and that's pretty cool. And I don't think there's many people like that, so just want to acknowledge that.
It's all good. It's not something I believe in staying humble. I never promote, cars or my house or any of that stuff. To me, it's all secondary. It's nice. Obviously, people have their aspirations of what defines success to them or what makes them happy. But at the end of the day, and it's fun, I've had conversations with other people that are even vendors and workmen that have come to my house like, this is unbelievable. What did you need to do? I said, let's slow down. I mean, I always like to play devil's advocate for a second. I'm just, by myself and I have no kids. I'm not married. And so I asked them, I said, are you happily married? Oh yeah, I'm happily married. Do you have any healthy kids? Yeah, I got, 5 kids, whatever. I said, great. You're a blessed man. I would trade this house to have a wonderful wife and beautiful children. So it gives perspective in terms of, it's not just about the material things. Material things come and go. But if you have an amazing family and you have that gratification, you have your health, you're a blessed person. You can create whatever you want to create. So it's interesting to see both perspectives. You aspire to have the elevator. Well, I aspire to have, an amazing wife and healthy children and, that kind of stuff too. So don't always think that, the grass is greener on the other side.
Well, here's the problem I have with you then. So you're coaching, you're helping people out here. And most coaches and stuff, they drive with Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis and they take pictures with it. I think you're flashing more than them because you have 200 houses that you own. And that is probably one of the biggest, and it's such a blessing for someone to reach that level. I don't know many people that have, and I need people to understand this when they're looking for a coach or someone to be a mentor. Don't look for the guy that's got the Lamborghini and they own no rental properties. Look at the guy that's got 20, 50, 200 homes and they're making passive income from that. And I just got to give you props, man. I don't know many people that I've talked to that has that many homes.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. Again, needless to say, everyone's on their own journey. If you drive those fancy cars, and I even have fancy car, this and that, but I don't promote this stuff. It is what it is, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just believe in staying humble and kind of staying under the radar when it comes to that. I want my money to work for me. I like the passive income. I want to go to the gym or I want to go running or do what I want to do. And knowing that as the time is clicking, my money is working for me because I've created that path. Right? I built great relationships with my tenants. And a lot of people, there's a misconception. You're a young guy. How old are you?
20.
20. It's amazing. You're rocking and rolling right now. It's funny. My phone's blowing up on this crazy deal that I'm selling. And the buyer has to qualify for the home by selling off one of their properties to qualify for the property. The lender calls me and said, all right, I'll buy the house. I said, you can't do it. Sorry to go off on a tangent. That's what's going back and forth right now. We're getting close to this finish line. Lender's like, she's got to sell the car. I'm like, I'll buy it. He says, you can't do it because you're part of the transaction. No problem. I have a car buyer that will buy the car, so it's always, you got to work those final angles. That's what I was working on 10 minutes ago. Yeah, it's about the passive income. It's about staying level-headed. And the misconception, I said, you're young and you're 20. I started right when I was 21, 22. I'm now 41. It's 20 years. You can factor about 10 homes a year if you project it out. The end of the day, it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint. So many people want to get in this business and they want to own 100 homes or 200 homes tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. It's one property at a time. I didn't just go out there and have a bunch of money and go buy 200 homes. It doesn't work like that. I've done, thousands of transactions, 4,000 transactions to get to this level, from flipping to holding to then, package and selling to hedge funds. So again, you have to put the right work in, one step, one house at a time. Again, it's an incremental process, but stay the course and good things will come your way.
Let's go back to when you were 21, you started in real estate here. I mean, what was your bags to riches story? I mean, did you start out with money?
I didn't have my own capital, but I came in, my cousins were big buyers in St. Louis, and I had a call. They knew that what my potential was. I'm not entrepreneurial, just like everybody else. And I didn't know specifically what I wanted to do coming out of college. I knew I wanted to own my own business. I didn't know what vertical, what niche. I got a call. I was traveling and worked for some high human capital consulting companies out of Atlanta, Georgia, a startup, a .com, was chasing that internet money in the .com era, which was exciting. I said, all right, I'm going to start my own company, probably financial consulting is what I was thinking. I got a call from my cousin saying, hey, we know your abilities, we know your business background. Why don't we joint venture and you can be the human capital of our organization in the Southwest? I said, tell me more about what you feel the upside potential is. What are you talking about? Met with them. We talked about some different things. And so I had capital behind me, but it was not my own money. So we created a joint venture opportunity from 2002 to basically 2007 before our market imploded, where I was going out there, finding the deals, managing the construction, handling the disposition side, leveraging my license, doing everything that I'm doing now, but just with my own capital. So that was kind of how I started. I was fortuitous and it was serendipitous that I had capital behind me to do it. But no, it was not my own money to get started. But obviously, same thing, it was one home at a time. And I had to literally jump in the trenches and learn one home at a time, how to find the crews and how to bang the street and prospect. And the game has changed dramatically now with, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, all these gurus and nurus and hurus, that are out there. It's funny. Before, when I started, I was calling on newspapers looking for deals. So it's completely different. But the theories and all that are still the same. It's all about leveraging and building great quality relationships and execution.
Okay. And granted, so you graduated from college, right?
Yeah.
And I assume I graduated from college too. I assume they didn't teach you a thing about flipping homes there.
I don't even think I had a real estate course. They maybe covered some basic fundamentals in real estate. I did go to business school, Kelly School of Business at Indiana, good plug, great school, Bloomington, beautiful campus, good Midwest institution. But no, I mean, everything that I learned was literally hitting the streets and through my uncle and through my cousins. And then, just like I said, pounding the pavement.
Okay, so how did you really learn the ins and outs of the business? Because you can do the HGTV route and literally just try on your own and get killed. I mean, how did you learn the ins and outs of this industry?
So that's going to cost you about $10,000 right now. No, literally, I think I'm a pretty fast learner. I came out here in 2002, August 5th. First thing I did was get my license. So that gave me a good fundamental background in terms of things to do, disclosures, contracts, understanding the legalese and all that. And I thought that was, monumental in terms of taking that first step to get some basic fundamentals. And then obviously the focus is making money. I don't want people controlling my destiny. So I didn't like working buyers and sellers was not my goal. My goal was to buy distressed assets, stabilize them and sell them was the model in the beginning. And then I saw, hey, I want to buy and hold because I'm an appreciating market and writing off all, depreciation, things like that was going to give me the highest yield. But it was literally getting my license and then simultaneously getting out in the field, driving properties and learning and looking at margins and literally just trial and error by buying inexpensive homes. I didn't start out like I never even really watched HGTV. I've seen the Joanna Gaines show or, I don't know who these people are, but what's the guy, him and his wife, they split up, they do this, that.
Yeah.
I get out in the field, I roll up my sleeves and I hit the pavement. And I still do that even today. I'm not afraid to get out of the car, talk to people, engage. And obviously it's pretty fundamental. If you go to business school, if you buy a $100,000 home and you can buy it for $50,000, it's probably going to be a pretty decent deal as long as, you can keep your margins intact and understand some basic construction. So that's what I did. I drive around and I understood simple mathematics and started writing offers and talked to other agents about bringing me deals because I had capital behind me. And the more you underwrite and the more you get going on one property at a time, the more you learn and more you modify and hone your skill set to move forward at a rapid pace and make it a scalable business.
Mm-hmm. And so fast forward now, how are you finding most of your flips and your holds?
Sure. So when I first got in the business, I was blessed again to have the capital behind me where I was actually direct marketing to sellers. We were on TV. We did billboards, direct mailers, postcards. We did the gauntlet of all the direct marketing and everything you could do to go out to the sellers. So, and then network with agents. I was out there in every single channel. We were blowing up to $60,000, $70,000 a month in marketing, which is huge overhead. Now I spend $0 on marketing other than basic social media. And I have a video guy, first, which, is not super expensive as we're building my course, the 7-Figure Investor Pro. But now it's all through relationships. When you're out there and you're a true entrepreneur and you execute and you have a good name behind yourself and you're a true closer and you're coming with cash, you're not misrepresenting anything, you're closing on time, you're delivering, time and time again, people want to work with you. And that's why people, like you found me, word of mouth. When you do a great job and there's limited amount of great buyers out there, there's other obviously good buyers in the market, but the strong survive and the cream rises to the top, in my opinion. So it's about that consistency. It's about maintaining those great relationships, making sure every deal is a win-win situation, never screwing anybody, and just always over delivering. And that's what I've done. That's how I've grown my business from the first home to the thousands of homes that I've done. So, I can look anybody in the eye, from my tenants to sellers to anybody, and make sure that, it's a strong, healthy deal for everybody.
Okay. So are you mostly getting
all those deals? So again, by cultivating those relationships, even from 2002, I still have relationships from them. I still have my contractors from them. And then also it's the branding. As you're growing, for example, my rental portfolio and I have 200 tenants, it's easy for them to say, oh, I have the greatest landlord. Hey, if you're looking for a home, call this guy. So a lot of times I don't even have to market my properties. I have people with a waiting list to get in my homes because I treat everybody like family, So that's a beautiful thing. I have a list on my phone. Hey, I want a 3-bed, 2-bath. I want a 4-2. I need something with the pool. Great. I literally said, text me your name, your number. What are you looking for? I got my list of potential buyers. And then I also have tons of sellers that I'm looking at all those lists. Obviously, people can pull tax records. And when you're out there operating in the business and you're active, it's easy to pull records. Who's paying cash? Who's closed? And the tax records don't lie. People can say what they're doing all they want. At the end of the day, the proof is in the tax records, and that's what I've done. And so through those channels and referrals, I've got an amazing couple great wholesalers that, I get first look at all their stuff. I'll go out there and make sure that, they're getting good deals on stuff. I'll give them numbers in advance. So I'm bringing value to not only the wholesalers to help them buy the deals, but to everybody involved. I'm flexible on the back end. I'm very consultative in every deal that I do. So again, I just look to make sure that everybody comes out of that deal ahead. It's not just, hey, how much money can I make on that deal? I'm looking at downside risk, upside potential. Can the wholesaler make money? Can the seller solve their problems? Everybody's on an agreement. It's a win. Let's make it happen. That's what I look at. And I think that's why I'm successful.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing that's really defined success for a lot of people here, I've seen it with me. So I've seen that you're actually a very competitive triathlete. You're a very big athlete guy. And I did a lot of that in high school and now. And I feel like being in like such a tough sport like that has given you a mental edge in business. Has that been the same for you?
I think it's just being a type A personality. We're competitors. Now I got into everything from, I competed in high school, did all the different sports, and you go to college and, playing intramural soccer. And then I was lured by outdoor adventure racing and then Ironman triathlons. I'm like, give me the hardest freaking thing to do. And I want to do it. I'm always up for a challenge. If someone says you can't do something, I'm the guy to, prove them wrong. But it's not even just to them. It's just about me. So, I think that by keeping that mental toughness again in this journey, and I like to do the correlation between building a rental portfolio and training for an Ironman, for example. Have you done an Ironman or triathlons, or what have you done?
No, just long distance running, wrestling, combat sports, things like that, but not triathletes. I'm working on it, but anything to get
Go ahead.
Anything to get my mental toughness and the edge on, just like just running like 15 miles, just like, I got to suck it up, get it done. Same thing in business. If I have a
Correct.
situation where like, this sucks, I just remember that one time I had to run this 15 miles, suck it up, keep going.
Correct. Same thing, kind of, absolutely. I think it provides you an edge. I think number one, if you don't have your health, and I'm a big, proponent of this, if you don't have your health, you don't have your wealth. You take the richest guy in the world, they could be a fat slob and die of diabetes. They would give up all their money to become fit and healthy and have the ability to travel and just, keep that healthy mindset. So again, I'm a huge proponent of keeping that health every day. If I can get in 1 to 2 hours of physical fitness or some sort of, deep, release, whatever it may be, boxing, running, biking, whatever, I need that. That's just how I thrive. It's like a car. If you don't oil it, it's not going to run well. If you're not giving it the proper gas and the proper fuel, you're not going to operate on a maximum level. Even this morning before our call, I was doing sprints up my driveway. I have a vertical driveway, and it's easy to be like, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to quit. I like watching guys like David Goggins and his podcast where the guy's just an animal. I feed off that stuff. Again, and I mentioned before, this business is not, going out and buying 200 homes in one portfolio and getting a bunch of financing on it and all of a sudden you're done. Not at all. It's one home at a time. When you run your 15 miles, you didn't just one day wake up and run 15 miles. You started with a mile, then you went to 1.5 miles and 2, and then 3 and 4 and 6 and etc. to get to your 15. I'm assuming, correct?
Yep.
Right. So it's the same thing. I didn't just wake up and go buy 50 houses. I bought 1 house, then 2 and 3, etc. And you have to keep that regimen. You have to keep that mindset. And on that 15 miles, you didn't just start out sprinting and then slowing down and walking on the 15. You probably kept a pace because you have to understand that you could blow yourself out and, overdo it. So you have to pace, you have to be calm, you have to stay in the game, you have to have proper nutrition to run 15 miles. I'm sure you had water or salt pills, to get you through it. So it's about, staying the course, having the understanding of how to get there and then executing. Real estate is no different.
I totally agree. Things like that, it's very funny how you can think of like pacing yourself, and the same thing in business. It's just funny how some like hard things like that, there's so many similarities. It's truly amazing.
I get calls all day, every day. Zach, can you teach me how to build 200 homes? I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm like, I love your enthusiasm. How many have you bought so far? Well, I haven't done any yet. I go, great. Let's start with 1 or 2, and then we can worry about the 200, right? Let's get a couple under our belt. Let's run that first mile before we worry about running the marathon. Let's learn how to swim before we start doing that first triathlon. Baby steps, but I agree about moving forward, but systematically.
Mm-hmm. And so you are the single family, almost a king in Phoenix, just buying single family properties. Is there a reason? Actually, I don't even know this. Are you into multifamily at all?
I've done some multifamily projects. I've owned some apartments and 62 units and some other stuff, but it's not my core competency. And I agree about, staying within your competence and what you're, become an expert at. It's easy to get diverted, or all of a sudden it seems sexier or maybe easier to get some sort of commercial financing, but it's not. I didn't have the best of experiences with my multifamily. I felt honestly that 62 units was too small to outsource, and it cost a lot of money in terms of overhead. That was when things started trading in cap rates, and then single family started talking about, oh, what's the cap rate? What's your yield? Once they started talking about cap rates on single family, the whole dynamics of the market changed when we had hedge funds and REITs come in. They're like, oh, we're buying 5s and 6s. I'm like, what are you talking about? Cap rates? What you mean? Like, what's your rental yield? It was just funny to see that transition from multifamily to single and then treat it as kind of a commercial project. But no, I stick to my core competency. I think it's very important. People get distracted on trying to make money in 100 different areas of real estate. You could be a mobile home expert. You could be a land expert. You could be a single family, condo, whatever it may be. I like to say when people call me, because I get enough deals, here's my buy box, right? This is what I specialize in. I want to buy single family detached homes, 3-bed, 2-bath minimum, 2-car garage. That's what I love. If it's similar to that and it's a great deal, every toilet has a seat, I will look at it. We can evaluate it. Again, everything's got a number, but this is my core competency. If it's outside that box and it's an amazing deal, bring it to me. If it's okay, don't even bring it to me, because I want to stay focused on what my core competency is, what my buy box is. And I think that's important. People get distracted and lured to see other people making money in different aspects. That's amazing. I hope everybody makes a ton of money. I'm that guy. I want everyone to be successful. But focus on your core competency and do what you do best. That's what I'm good at, is the single family homes, the remodels, the distressed assets, taking them from trash to cash, from one step at a time, stabilizing them, renting them, or flipping them. That's my model. It's worked. I don't want to be, diverted into some other deal.
Okay. So when it comes to owning a huge rental portfolio like this, how are you managing all these properties?
Sure. I self-manage. No one believes them. There's management companies out there that manage 150 and 100 homes. And they have 4 employees, and it's crazy. But I've streamlined everything. I have amazing relationships on my phone. Any single tenant can call me. I believe you have to spend money to make money. When I do my assets, I'm not some slumlord. I spend a lot of money in my homes in the forefront, so I vet them very, very well. Make sure that from the ACs to the roofs, if something's kind of tweaked, I don't try and fix something minor. I replace it because I know that I'm going to own that asset for a long time. And I don't want to have these tenants disgruntled and called and constantly go back and forth. You get a much better economies of scale by doing things right the first time, spending money, stabilizing it, and then you're kind of on that home stretch. Sure, there's always things that are going to fall, down the cracks and intervening variables. Maybe some plumbing that we didn't scope going out to the sewer, or something underneath a roof, or whatever it may be. There's always little things, but at the end of the day, if you spend money, you do a good job in the beginning, your tenants, yourself, your handyman, everyone's going to be happier. The last costs you a lot of money to go back and forth multiple times, or pull out an old tub after you just did the tile surround because you tried to save $100 and ends up costing you $500 because you think you're saving money. That's a foolish decision. So I like to do surgery on my homes, not little cosmetic, enhancements like lip fillers and Botox. I'm talking about full facial reconstruction.
Wow. So self-managing it, and the tenants have your phone number. I mean, do you ever get calls sometimes like, who's this guy? Who's Brenda? Like, how do you keep up with all this?
For whatever reason, they have their strong suits, right? Maybe you're great at knowing every player on a football team, their stats, their high school numbers. I have an amazing memory when it comes to my homes. I could tell you when I bought it, what I paid for it. I know who my tenants are. In fact, if somebody calls me, there's a correlation, like there's a system for everything that I do. Tenant moves in, if they call me, and in fact, when they do their application, I need all their phone numbers. They're all in my phone. So if it's their primary number, emergency contact number, their daughter, someone calls me for that number, it rings up and it says, hey, this is 19304 Adams Street, and this is Jenna. I see it in my phone, and then I know what house it's correlated to, so there's no confusion. And then if I have to dispatch a handyman, then I already know, hey, this is 19304 Adams, here's the issue, and call my handyman. Or a lot of times too, when I just brought on a full-time handyman, they can call my handyman directly, but I also want to give them peace of mind. They know they can call me. I don't treat them like just a number. Like, again, you have to differentiate yourself in this market. I like the whole aspect. You come into my world, we're going to be family, right? I'm going to treat you the same way if my sister's renting one of my houses as if some random person, we've never met before, I run your application, you're approved. You're now going to be treated the same way as my sister. You need something, you can call me directly. The issue is you got all these big hedge funds and big, firms out there. You're just a number, and they do everything kind of deter you from calling. I said, I want to take care of my properties. I don't charge my tenant calls. If you call, you're paying. That's ridiculous. I want to protect my assets. Again, spend money to make the money. You're going to have a good long-term tenancy. My retention rate is through the roof. If I lose a tenant because they want to go to another larger or smaller one of my units due to family dynamics changing in their life. And then, I give them all deposit slips. They can all deposit direct to Bank of America. You can go to Zelle. There's so many different forms of depositing. And the whole thing is, here, I can pull a rent roll sitting here. Here's my rent roll. This is crazy. You talk about how every single week I go through all of these papers that I get my accountant. This is what
I'm talking about.
I'm vertically integrated. I pull up my tenant activity. You could see Zach Ventures, tenant activity report, boom. And I go through that with my bookkeeper. We sit down for a couple hours at a time, go through each property. Have we communicated to them? Have they reached out to you? Is there an issue? Do we need to send notices? So if you're running a good streamlined business, you can do it. It's about maintaining great communication with people, treating them fairly, and putting a system in place to manage it. And it's been very fruitful for me. It's been great.
Wow. I don't know many guys gurus per se, coaches that will literally just show you their rent rolls and show how much they're actually making. I think that's something it just says about your character here. You saying you have a very good memory here. You obviously own a lot of properties. In 20 years, you've done a lot of great stuff. I mean, what is your craziest real estate story?
I mean, there's crazy stuff. One of the craziest stories, and and again, I like to say I like this improvisational stuff because again, it's just top of mind. I bought a deal once. This is crazy. That wholesaler calls me, "Hey Zach, I got this great property, West Phoenix. It was a fire type property." Gives me a number on the phone. Says sounds reasonable. One thing that I always do is I will give a 95% level of commitment when I hear about the deal. Sounds pretty good. I'm going to drive it and I'll give you 100%, and I'll get back to you that same day. I execute quickly. I don't play games with something like maybe, or I'm not waiting to sell to somebody else. The buck stops here. Once I commit to a deal, I'm taking it down no matter what. So I go out to the property, I walk it, we come to terms on the number, and I buy the house. Everything's great. I send my crews in there. I order trusses. I'm getting the AC. I got multiple containers out there. I mean, I'm clearing all the refuse and the trash, and yeah, I got my permits down at the city. And about 2 months into this construction, and I get the call that nobody wants. What is it?
Structural. It's got to be structural issues, right? Like foundational.
Worse. This is great. Ready? Hey Zach, I got your number from the neighbor who said that, it was my previous tenant, said that you're remodeling my house, and I'm concerned. Why are you remodeling my house? And I said,
God.
Come again? I'm driving down the road. It's a California. I said, what do you mean I'm remodeling your house? I went through title. I bought it from a wholesaler. It's weird. We pulled up the deed, and that's not my signature, and I'm the owner of the house. I live out of state. Yes, we
snap.
And there's no way you own the house. I said, well, listen, I'm thank you for reaching out to me. I've already started and put a lot of money and work into this house. And this is the importance of getting title insurance. So I said, here's the title company. Here's the HUD. I'm very communicative. Please call this escrow officer. What happened? A gentleman in Arizona with the same name of the owner had some sort of tax lien or child support lien that he went down to the city to take care of. Due to the fact that that guy had the same name as the seller, somehow they said, hey, what about some sort of lien, or there was a landscaping lien on the property? Are you going to take care of it? So he drives by the house. In his mind, in a fraudulent nature, just because you have the same name as somebody doesn't mean you own the house. He decides he's going to call a wholesaler to sell the house. He's got the same name, and it popped up because he had some sort of child support lien, sells the house to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler sold it to me. They were notarized. The guy has the same names. They notarized them. The problem was the real owner was out of state. So they sell the house. That guy gets the money. 2 months in, they get word, hey, you're remodeling the house. I mean, think about it. The likelihood is 1 in a billion. One, the house had to be free and clear because there was no social. So the house was free and clear. Insurance paid it off. 2, the guy was out of state. No one could be there. I mean, likelihood of this happening, and when you do a lot of deals, weird stuff like this does happen. But once again, that's why I don't do quitclaim deeds or weird stuff. Everything goes through title to get insurance. I made a title insurance claim. I did lose money because the insurance covers you only up to what you paid for the home. Also, a good tidbit of information, if you're buying a home on an assignment, make sure you pay the extra premium that's going to cover your basis. So for example, I think that guy bought the house on wholesale for $25,000, assigned it to me for, let's say, $55,000. If I didn't pay for that premium, which I did for the $30,000 spread in which my basis was, they'd only cover me for the first $25,000. It only cost maybe $50 more to cover $30,000. Pay the $50 more every transaction to mitigate something like this from happening. I would say that the likelihood and the craziness of this is absurd, but it's a point being that if you do enough deals and things like this happen, you got to be prepared. So, yeah, the money that I had spent, sometimes you got to just walk away. Yeah, I lost money on the deal, but I got my basis of what I paid for the home back, at least from title. There was fraud, and then I turned over the rights to the insurance company, and they sued the guy. I don't know what really happened on the back end, but they had to get their money back, and they had to revert back to the owners. So crazy story. And that's definitely wild.
Wow. I always sign everything with the middle name. I always add the middle name in there just as an extra precaution, because there's a lot of Zach Ginns actually in Florida. But okay. Wow, holy moly.
I think they need some sort of system with social securities. I mean, that's when I said, how is this even possible? Like that they should do social security checks, or what kind of database is the title doing? You know, I mean, it's just crazy events. Most people are going to have debt on the property, you know, and tax IDs and socials. But I guess there's no back end database to verify that that individual is the same as this individual, because they're not cross-referencing social securities. That's what's crazy.
Man.
But also the guy was clearly fraudulent because he knew that he didn't own the house. Oh, all of a sudden, just awarded me a house free and clear. I'll just go sell somebody else's house. It's crazy.
Man, that reminds me, this happens in South Florida every 6 years, exactly every 6 years. One guy figures out what wholesaling is, and he figures out, let me just quit claim the deeds to myself, and people are vacant homes. Happens every 6 years. He quit claims 15, and then he sells it to cash buyers, and then he's rich for like a couple of years, and then he goes to jail.
Of course.
So someone tried to do that to Rick a couple times, and they're in jail now. And it actually happened. One happened a month ago. Another guy got arrested for it. It's just people are fraudulent. You got to be careful. That's
why you title, blanket insurance, drive your properties again. So I mean, the person's out of state. They should have somebody watching, but I mean, they're probably like, this is amazing. I'll take my time. Let's put on the new trusses. You go ahead and put on my new AC, because they knew they're going to reap that benefit, you know, eventually. I'm surprised they didn't let me just finish the house and then make the claim. Thankfully, they caught me mid-construction. I would have blew, you know, $70,000 that I would have lost on that deal if I would have kept going. So in a way, thank God they caught me, you know, after a couple months.
Wow. So I really want to just shift more towards your legacy here. I mean, you have 200 homes. I mean, you're making a lot of money. I mean, I hate to say this, but like, how many homes until you stop? I mean, are you just going to keep going till you get a million houses?
People ask me all the time, what's your exit strategy? It's not about necessarily the money to me in the beginning. When I was a young kid, I said, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I just want to make $1 million. It's not about the money anymore. I'm passionate about what I do. I love the engagement. I love the art of the deal. Every deal is different. Every seller has different needs. Buying it, it's like playing Monopoly with real money, and it's just fun. So I think the point when I stopped getting engaged, which I highly doubt that, is when I would stop. They say more people rust out than wear out, you know, which is a fact. And so I think I'll be active in this business as long as possible, stay in good health, God willing, and, you know, keep buying and, you know, mentoring and teaching people. I think is what I'd like, you know, it's kind of my next journey, which I've started now, but I just love being active in this business. I also feel kind of a fiduciary and a duty to my crews and my teams of everybody to help make sure that they're stable. I mean, we truly are a family. I love every single one of them, like a brother and a mother. And I want to just continue the business. We've got great synergies, great people. I want all my crews to own their homes free and clear, build their portfolios one at a time. Give them equity in deals every year as well to help them out. So I just blessed, you know, I love what I do. I'm passionate. I wake up every day, ready to hunt, ready to look at deals. I love it. You know, I don't watch much TV at all. I'm either working out, I'm looking at deals and, or underwriting stuff and making things happen. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. I'm hanging out with my dog, you know?
So I don't want to give too much of your secret sauce away, because you're definitely helping people out with this. But there's probably a million people asking this, like, hey, Zach, how do I start with 1 to 2 homes? Like, what would you tell them?
Sure. I always say, do what I did. I mean, I like the fact that I went to real estate school. So if you're it's all relative to how do you start? Are you making money right now? Do you already have a career? Everyone's in a different boat. So I want to understand, where are you coming from? Do you have any money behind you to sustain yourself, to just go out there and knock doors? Or are you working a 9-to-5 job and do something on the weekend? So I have to get a full understanding consultatively. Where are you at to help you kind of pinpoint that? But let's assume that, you know, you got a few bucks, you have a part-time job, you're passionate about real estate. I would say go to school, because it's not expensive. You can write it off. And then you can also get your license and start even helping people as you're getting into the real estate side, just to get exposure in terms of buying and selling. I think that's great. Real practical experience. It's going to get you in the field. It's going to get you a better understanding of contracts. And as you're doing that, you can start differentiating yourself. I like to say, for me, to wear what's called a 2-hat system. When I came into houses before, when I was advertising direct to seller, I would come in as an agent or as a buyer, and I would give them options. I said, I don't know which one's going to work. I know I'm going to come to your house and 100%, I'm going to have a solution for you. 100%, whether I buy your house or not, I'm going to solve your issues. Whether I'm, again, going to retail it on the market and get you max dollar because I'm an amazing agent, or I'm just going to buy it because you don't want to waste the time or the risk of going on the market or deal with repairs. Every seller is different. Every buyer is different. So I want to go in there, get a full engagement, and go from there. So my first thing is go get your license. You can start making some money with commissions. At the end of the day, if you're going out there and wholesaling your house, you're making 5 or 10 grand a deal. Right now, with the median price of homes at 250 or 300, every deal you did in terms of an agency, you're going to be making $7,500 or $9,000 or whatever it may be. That's some pretty good side money. And in the interim, you start building up, again, going out in the trenches, meeting with contractors, building your portfolio of people and relationships, from bankers to contractors to escrow agents to other agents that you're going to network with to solicit those deals. And then boom, things start happening. As you start running, you're getting your momentum on your 15 miles. Each mile doesn't necessarily get harder. If you're training and you're pacing it, it's kind of like your mind shuts off when you're just kind of zoned out. And all of a sudden you look down, you're like, whew, I just ran that 15. It's no different when you're getting that momentum in real estate. You got to get out of neutral. You got to put your car in drive and slowly accelerate on the gas. And that's what I would do. That's my advice to people right now, to get out there and get out in neutral, get education in terms of the fundamentals, get your license. I'm a huge advocate for that. I believe people say, well, you can't buy real estate if you're licensed, or just, I said, I highly disagree with that, because people trust you more because you have to operate under a certain code of ethics and code and do things by the law. And I love that. That's a huge differentiating factor. If you're out there as a buyer direct and you have no recourse because you could screw the seller directly and you're just a random person, versus you could lose your livelihood as a licensee, they're going to say, no, I want to operate by the code of ethics. I'm disclosing I'm a license. You can have your attorney review this contract. Again, whatever is easiest for you, this is the way to go.
Wow. So that answers my last question I always ask people, is what they do if they're 17. That basically answers it. So when I heard about you, I looked up your YouTube, Zach Ventures, Z-A-K Ventures, and you're putting a lot of great content. You're helping people out here. And this leads us to SevenFigure Investor Pro. You gave us a little taste of it on the YouTube. Can you explain SevenFigure Investor Pro and how you would help people with that?
Absolutely. So it's funny. Everything happens for a reason and evolves organically in my world. One of the top attorneys for Domino's, good buddy of mine, went studied abroad in Spain with him. That's how I learned Spanish. He came out to Vietnamese, needed a break from Domino's. And he's like, dude, I need to get you on camera. You're hilarious. This is funny. We did like a video 5-6 years ago. We just ran it through a house. People were like, this is unbelievable. People just started gravitating to it. I'm like, I had no social media, Facebook, I barely used. I didn't even have an Instagram until about probably a year or 2 years ago, max. So we started posting videos. That evolved, started doing some podcasts. Because again, I just kind of stayed under the radar. I have my contacts and people. I put my head down and just drive and grind every single day. So started doing the podcast stuff, and I was with the All In boys, Carlos and Alex and Sal, and their video guys like, hey, I love what you're doing. You're great. Can I come around with you one day and do some more videos for you? I'm like, yeah, I was actually looking for a video guy just to enhance what I was doing. We started chatting. He's like, there's a lot of money in this education space and this and that. I'm like, yeah, it's not my thing. I'm just want to, keep buying houses. He's like, you should really look at it. You bring a lot to the table. You're different than a lot of these people that are coaching, but they're not active in the business. They have nothing really behind them. You're out there day in and day out, and this would be a natural progression and an enhancement, ancillary income for what you're doing, and you're the real deal. I believe in you. And that was the guy, Luigi, that says, hey, let's partner up. I'll do all the back end stuff. My time is best spent on the acquisitions, right? Money's always made on the buy side.
Zacquisition.
The Zacquisition. I'll authorize you to start hashtagging Zach. So it just naturally progressed and evolved. We were shooting tons of content. People were asking, hey, do you do coaching? Do you do, stuff? And then we started putting together amazing content. I mean, hours upon hours of very specific things that I've done, good and bad in my career, that I can convey to other people. Again, not wholesaling. And there's nothing really that I've seen amazing out there in terms of creating the buy and hold, how to streamline your business, how to build, the portfolio one at a time, cross-collateralization, have amazing banking relationships, how to speak to bankers, raising private capital, which I did when I went out on my own. So everything that I teach, I've done myself, and I still do today. So that's kind of how I differentiate myself. It's going to be an online educational platform that will be released in the next couple of weeks. Super, super passionate and excited about it. So it's not just sitting in front of a whiteboard saying, okay, so I want you to go buy this and then do that. We're out in the field. I'm doing real life examples. There's nothing staged. It's all real deal stuff, taking you from A to Z. Again, the ultimate guide to fix and flip, buy and hold, 7-figure investor pro. So that's kind of the deal. It was kind of just ancillary, fell into place, and it's just a great natural progression in my career right now. And I think we're providing something completely different that no one's ever seen, and it's the real deal. No fluff, no BS. It's just, 100% money back guarantee. If someone doesn't like it, you can, return. We'll give you all your money back. That's how confident I am that we're going to provide extreme value to anyone looking to get into real estate, from people that have, experienced guys to people that are just have never even done a deal. Same stuff that we're talking about right now. I really just delve into every single thing you'd have a question of when you're getting into this business. That's what I do.
Wow. That's amazing. I really appreciate you coming on today, sharing your knowledge, and you really pumped me up for a lot of stuff here. Guys, wholesaling is great. It'll give you that active income. You'll make the quick 100K, but when the games are over and you really want to build a legacy and wealth, making money and just creating wealth with rental incomes, just the way he's doing it and flipping homes, it's the next logical step. And I think listening to a guy like Zach is so influential, and it'll help so many guys. If you're younger and you actually want to start building a legacy of wealth, I recommend checking out Zachary Kepes, Zach Ventures. So I really appreciate you coming on. Before we sign off here, do you have any parting thoughts to our guests?
I love what you absolutely. Thanks again. It's amazing speaking to another Zach. You're a natural, by the way, on camera. So keep doing what you're doing. There's some great information on your stuff and your dad. So you guys are doing great things as well. It's important to build those relationships, not just intra-border, but domestically, internationally. Everyone brings something unique to the table. So you learn from every conversation. My parting words that I was extrapolating from what you're saying about, look, I love all wholesalers. They're great. That's how I, buy tons of inventory right now through great wholesale relationships. However, I tell them, just like as my buddies, you're only as good as your last deal wholesaling. Once it's out the door, you got to start spending money and your time and energy again, waiting for the next deal. It's kind of like a fix and flip. Nothing wrong with it. But why I love the buy and hold is it continues to make that passive income. I can project, what am I going to make next month, assuming nothing happens, or I have a bad month and I don't find a deal, or you're a wholesaler and you're spending $50,000 a month and you have bad luck. You just spend $50,000 and nothing to show for it. That's why I love the buy and hold model, is because it's predictable, you're bankable, and it gives you that passive income to do what you want to do. You can be at the gym on your phone. People think you're, just training for an Ironman, but you're sitting there actually, communicating to your tenants, making money, your bank account's getting filled on the 1st or the 3rd through the month, and you're a happy camper. So to me, it's about that passive income. It's building that cash flow one deal at a time. So.
Boom. Thanks, guys. Check him out. 7-Figure Pro, Zach Ventures on Instagram. Great guy, and keep up the great work. Can't wait to have you on next year when you got 5,000 homes. But I really appreciate it, and thank you, guys. See you next week.
Thanks so much. Good luck to you all. Take care, guys.